Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Perez with the Light Journal podcast, and today is the 5th episode of the Becoming Who You Are series. On today's podcast, I'll talk about being all you can be. All my life, I've defined my value by what I do. Well, for the past year, Spirit's been telling me to define myself by who and what I am, to focus on being rather than doing. I've tried to practice being, but it inevitably returns to doing. Even doing this podcast is doing. I truly don't know how to simply be. Being feels like laziness and apathy to me. I've always defined myself as ambitious, even if ambition meant more what I do than what I obtain. I remember the first time I heard the Army motto, "Be all you can be." It was in the 1980s, and it was so inspiring that I credit it with one of the reasons why I joined the Army instead of one of the less rigorous branches like the Navy or Air Force. I wanted that. I wanted to be all I could be. Except that really wasn't what the Army did. It didn't make me into all I could be. Its focus was on doing. If I were to rewrite their motto, it would be more accurate to say, doing all you can do. Which takes me right back to the question of being. How would you define yourself if you took away everything that you do? Well, I'm a child, sister, mother, aunt, friend, wife, employee, citizen, podcaster, writer, weaver, potter, gardener, and spiritualist, and that's just a few of the labels I wear. But do these truly define who I am, or are they merely ways of describing what I do? It seems to me that labels limit us. They tell us who we are, even if they don't truly reflect how we feel about ourselves. When I had my first child, society declared that I became a mother. I didn't feel like a mother. For that matter, I didn't feel much at all. Postpartum depression meant that my oldest daughter felt more like a stranger. But with my new label as mother, I knew what was expected of me and I did it. Nursing her, holding her, taking care of her bodily needs, and playing with her, but I didn't feel any attachment to her. I didn't feel like a mother for the first year of her life. Society might have decided that giving birth made me a mother, but I disagree. I didn't become a mother until I fell in love with my daughter and chose the responsibility of caring for her to the best of my ability. That's what made me a mother. So is that also what it means to be? To experience such a deep emotional connection that we become psychologically committed to the welfare of that choice? Perhaps with tangible things, but being isn't tangible, is it? It's more like a state of mind. The dictionary defines being as the nature or essence of a person. If you've been listening to my podcast for any length of time, you've already heard me talk about the importance of knowing who and what we are. At our deepest level, what are we? Well, we're quantum particles, photons, quarks, and leptons, and other things. These are just some of the things that combined so that we can experience the sensation of being less than what we truly are. We created this universe to experience limitations, challenges, discoveries, new perspectives, and growth, something that is incredibly hard to do when you're part of an entangled infinite consciousness. If I use the dictionary's definition and my own experience as a mother, then it seems to suggest that being means emotionally reconnecting with my true self to the point that I psychologically become my true self while in this human form. Wow. So what am I supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to go about being a 1,000-fold consciousness made of particles, photons, quarks, and leptons? Logically, I would have to start by recognizing I am not one thing, but many. I am not one singular quantum photon, quark, or lepton, but millions or even trillions of them, all of which are working together to create this physical form and experience. In other words, I'm a unity consciousness. I am a we. This also suggests that we, get to know ourselves as a unity consciousness in its wholeness. A combined or unified consciousness brings together this body with this mind, these emotions, this psychological makeup and ego, all within the overarching awareness of the spirit. If I deny, dismiss, or ignore any aspect of who I am, then I'm dismissing the wholeness itself. If I want to connect and embrace it, if I want to be, then I must be all of it. So why bother? What does it matter if I experience the wholeness or just individual parts of self? There are many ways I could answer that, but there's only one way that I want to answer. Being is unlimited. If I identify with different parts of myself rather than the wholeness, then that means I am one thing or another. And I refuse to limit myself that way. When I identified as a mother, I was still a child, sister, and wife. But each of these labels had their own expectations attached to them. No matter how many different labels I carried, it would never reflect who I was. But if I label myself as being, there are no limitations. It can be as broad, wide, and infinite as I choose to be. It allows me to be infinitely changeable. I can redefine myself every single day, every hour of every day, and still be. It's only when I put other labels on myself that I become constrained. If I'm a body, then the flesh limits me. If I'm my mind, then my thoughts limit me. If I'm my emotions, ego, or anything else, these all limit me. Even the label of spirit is limited because it isn't physical. Being, however, can be physical or spiritual. It can take on any form, shape, reality, dimension, or personality, and it is still being. To be means wholeness, everything I am or ever can be, which is limitless. When I am in a state of being, I experience peace, presence, and connectiveness with everything around me. The obsessive need to do fades into a need for simple awareness. Aware of my 5 senses and what they're telling me, aware of my emotions, aware of what my body is communicating, and aware of the expansiveness within my own mind that is filled with a sense of potentiality and possibility. During my first shamanic workshop in 2019, the instructor asked each one of us to journey on behalf of our partner. Afterwards, we were each asked to write down what we learned during that journey and share it with the other person. I'd like to read to you what my partner recorded from her spirit journey on my behalf. Quote, "Be, commit to wonder, be childlike, wonder, find joy through the energy of wonder, and live in that space. Open yourself to receive messages from nature. Remember who we, nature, are, and then remember who you are. Bring that into everyday life. Live that joy, and as a result, you will give others permission to do the same. Instead of getting caught up in doing, just be. Notice the miracles all around, just like the bee who shouldn't be able to fly and yet does so anyway. And remember that you too are a miracle." Unquote. Wasn't that beautiful? Notice that being removes the distinction between you and me, as well as the distinction between me and anything else. It sees beyond the veil because the veil too is part of the wholeness and therefore an extension of ourself. I don't know where being is taking me. I only know that wholeness is the way to get there. Before I go, I'd like to share a benediction with you that I've often called upon myself. May you be like the sun, filled with light that directs your way and lights the path of all those around you, whose warmth brings life to the earth and everything upon it, unconditionally accepting and loving, giving without thought of return, confident in who you are, knowing that you are enough as you are, where you are, by simply being. Thanks for listening. I'm Jamie Perez with the Light Journal Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about awareness or wholeness, be sure to visit me on the Light Journal Facebook page. Blessings on your journey, everyone.